I sit here from 9 to 5 on my computer, usually playing Hearthstone or whatever. I'd be down to chat fucking anytime.
Hey guys and welcome, my name is Dashingnot and today I have the honor of Veritas joining me. Veritas is a gifted musician, content creator and software developer who mainly plays Escape from Tarkov, streaming it since 2018. Veritas, welcome, nice to have you.
Thanks for having me, man. It's good to be here.
It's great. I'm just letting you know that I will use some of the conversation as an intro. I did have with Slush Puppy and with Ghost, and Slush Puppy confessed that he couldn't cut his hair because his wife wouldn't have sex with him. And I was looking for something like that, so just so you know.
Nice.
One of the questions I actually I had to add a question or two maybe, so it's not just 10 questions, because somebody wanted to know something very specific and I found it so funny that I had to ask you. And the question was, will there ever be a song about skills, and is there a special skill that is going to be featured in it?
That's a good one. I don't have anything. I don't have anything planned. I have written maybe 20 like meme Tarkov songs worth of lyrics and stuff, but I haven't had the time to get into them. And then now, because it's been over the course of a year, uh, a lot of the things just aren't super relevant anymore. You know, like I couldn't write Mosin Man now because the Mosin didn't just come out. You know,
Yeah.
now it would have to be about the strength or weight system or something. You know, like I would have to. You know what I should do? I should do uh, the Weird Al Yankovic version of Fat. So a cover of Weird Al's cover.
Right. Afterwards, I'll show you something. We'll see if you find it funny. I made something about the weight system.
All right.
But yeah, if I could choose, I'd probably ask you to do some about strength or endurance for sure, because I kind of made it my theme. Now you see me, now you don't. You know, 0 skills, maxed out skills.
Oh, yep.
And there's a lot of I've actually looked it up. There's a lot of songs called "Now You See Me, Now You Don't" from different musicians, but there's no like I would love to see something that is really Tarkov related. Like the Mosin Man was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, and it's funny.
I didn't come up with the concept of Mosin Man. I wrote the
Right.
lyrics,
Right.
but the whole Mosin Man thing was not invented by me. I can't take credit for that.
But you sang, right?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I just
I made a
recently.
song and wrote all the lyrics. You know, everybody says Mosin Man, and then they sing Ocean Man lyrics after that. But I actually wrote all those lyrics, but wasn't totally original.
I just recently, like a week or two ago, realized that it was actually you singing. So that was pretty cool. It was a revelation.
Yeah, a lot of my early songs I sang with like a kind of a character voice. Yeah, I should redo that one. No,
Yeah.
never mind. That's a terrible idea.
No, it's not. It's great. Okay, so but maybe, I mean, maybe we don't know. Maybe there will be one. Um, but looking back, are you playing? Are you streaming it since 2018, or are you playing it since 2018 as well, or did you play it in 2017?
I started, so I did one raid in I think November of 2017. One raid. I've told the story a couple times. I loaded in. This is after watching Shroud and Clean. I didn't know who Clean was at the time because I just watched Shroud and like Doctor Disrespect play PUBG. So watching Shroud play, I decided to give the game a try. The first raid I went in with Makarov, no extra ammo or magazines, just one Makarov, no meds, and I chose a night raid on woods without knowing it. So it was just pitch black, and I ran around in circles, and I ended up killing a scav, like panic shooting. But then it was like I limped around for 40 minutes in a circle, and then I died of like dehydration or something. And I'm like, this game is the worst. This sucks. And I didn't touch it again until I think February, and then I maybe January, and then I played it for a couple of months. And once I started to get a little bit more confident with it, over I think from January to March, I was making YouTube content, and then March is when I started streaming. So a couple of months.
Woods was my starting map too, with a hatchet though. I was so afraid to die. I was creeping along the wall. It was horrible. but that's the I think, was it shortly after? I can't remember when I saw the first Facebook post of PSG proudly presenting that they're going to introduce skills. But from your point of view, and looking back for 2 years of Tarkov, 2.5 even, what was one of the most influential moments in or around Tarkov where you thought about skills like, oof, endurance, or ooh, my God, that's why.
This might be controversial. I don't know, but the only time that skills have ever been relevant for me, and I say all the skills,
Hmm.
is the the 2 times in 2.5 years I've gotten max level search. Um,
Hmm.
and that was this patch. Both times it was this patch. I got to like level 65 max level search and then reset my account for some charity
Hmm.
event and then did it again and got it not too long ago. Um, and anytime there's a wipe, I then notice that my endurance is lower than it was because I'm going from, hero to zero.
Hmm.
But otherwise, every other skill, in my opinion, levels so slow, gives you almost no benefit, and it's so inconceivable that I didn't even know when they added skills, and it's never been a thing that I've ever said, God, thank God I just got this skill.
Hmm.
Uh, except for when you lose endurance or when you gain the double search ability. That's it.
Yeah. That's interesting. You're one of the rare players who actually doesn't pay attention to that, and probably not even on purpose, right? It's just you never gave it a thought,
If I
to
got
put
tons
it
of
like
value
that.
from it, like when you do Skyrim, you level up, I get to choose some abilities, I get to get some major noticeable benefits every time I level up sort of thing. With
Hmm.
this one, it's just a number that goes up so slowly and it levels up I'm guessing linearly that you just never ever notice. Even if there is a big benefit between level 1 and level 50, you're leveling it so slowly that you never actually feel it? So it's just always been underwhelming to me.
Okay, I could tell you though that you do notice a difference, especially with the weight system. But it's interesting. I've actually, so basically, do you even have a favorite or least favorite skill from the ones that are implemented properly?
So endurance, max level search to me is literally like going from level 50 to 51 is the only point. It's just a switch. I don't
Correct.
really
Search does nothing else. Although it says in the
is it
tooltip,
slightly faster at
no,
level 49 than level
no,
1?
no.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, I mean
That's
endurance I think is the only thing. I just hate running out of stamina. Everything else, the fact that that I like to learn stuff about skills, sorry, about the game, and I
mhm.
want to learn how it works and put out guides. I'm so uninterested in the skill system for the most part because it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I felt like if it would give me a noticeable benefit and if it was interesting,
All
then
right,
I would be interested in how it worked and I would learn how it worked. But so many of the skills, it's like I don't know how they work because I don't
right.
have to because they don't seem to do a whole lot.
Interesting, interesting. I'll show you some things that the skills do, just so you um so you know that there is a difference.
I
Um,
know there is. I know, when I see people with max level strength and stuff running around, like, I see that it's to me, I actually don't see it as a major issue. I know you can
well,
get up on things and you're faster, but
yeah,
I
no,
I've never even remotely gotten there, so
I there was a time when you could just by jumping it would increase your strength skill, so people would just write a little macro that jumped, for back then 55 or 60 minutes even, in on shoreline in a corner, and then after a couple of hours they were done. It was funny to see these hoppers, um, and then obviously the fall through the map and increase your skills instantly. That was a thing a while, that everybody
yeah.
was doing.
You know why that was, I wanna know from, like, a code perspective if they fell into some subroutine that was like, if falling, increase, if and it's
Yes,
just a
because
loop.
it's pretty simple. Back then it was, the skill. So everybody thinks the skill is like you get endurance, or yeah, you let's stick to endurance. You get endurance by walking 7,000 kilometers, yeah, but you don't. You get endurance by walking n hours, you know, by having walked n hours. But the problem is when you're falling down.
Is that triggered like walking?
Yes, but if you're running, right, you speed it up, and the server gets a hiccup. Back then, it got a hiccup where it thought you were doing this for years on end. It's so fast that it just awarded you with the skill points. That was the vertical way. So they
Did it
removed skill gain
did
from
it
vertical.
did it calculate like a difference in position and say like, oh,
Yes,
he must have walked, even though it was
yes,
vertical, he fell 1,000 feet. He must have walked
yes.
1,000.
So he
That
must
makes
have walked. So it translates it into um it translates it into time. Yeah, so it's a time-based skill.
Can they just make it like test the contact of your feet on the ground or something so that you can't
um,
like jump, or whatever?
well, what they ended up doing was they just took it out. So whenever you're um, like, so the distance from when you're standing on a hill to the bottom of the hill, um, the time you need there, that's measured in like the horizontal. Um, but if you would naturally walk a bit more, right? Because you're not
Well, it's
going from A
Pythagorean
to
theorem.
B.
C is longer than A and B, right?
Yeah, so ultimately, that is not the downhill slope is not calculated in, because that's like the vertical one. Because
Damn.
they had
Okay.
to do something, but then people got smart, and kind of got a way around of that, which is interesting. So why the glitch still worked, where you could still fall through a map, was they would fall or go into the map. It didn't matter if you were falling or not. You just had to get underneath or next to the map, and then walk, and then disconnect, and then before you then reconnect, and before you go into the raid, you press your key to walk. Yeah. So that gets transferred, that the server knows, oh, he's still walking, or she, for that matter. But then you
So it just
disconnect.
it
But then you
assumes you were
disconnect
walking the
again.
whole time.
But then you disconnect again, and you reconnect again. And what you then do is, and I haven't figured that one out, but you had to walk backwards, and then the server would reward you with a skill point. The sheer fact that people actually got to that point to figure that one out is amazing to me. Absolutely amazing. So that's how they tricked the server of thinking, oh my god, he's been walking for so long, I must reward him with skill points. But
Is it is
beautiful.
it is it the server's way of reconciliating, like, I
Yes.
don't wanna lose progress while you so I'm gonna have to guess all these things happen in the meantime and, yeah, I don't know.
The with Tarkov, people don't think it is, but the standard in Unity is that every game you make, it's server authoritative. Yeah. So, you can change that if you want, and there are some, like I explained to you earlier, like certain packages are being sent until there's an update from the server. But those are those are the updates where the server has the last say, and usually the server has the last say on everything. But if you can find a way of tricking the server, of saying, but let's come to an agreement, because I really did this, and the server says, yeah, okay, I see, I did get that package where it said you did it, and I really do believe you because you're such a trustworthy person. Here you go. That's the point. That's how you want to trick the server to do
We'll
something
have to
like
we'll
that.
have to talk. I don't know if it'll be here, but at some point about Peeker's advantage and stuff, because I know it's more complicated than everyone thinks,
That's yes.
and I wanna for someone knowledgeable like you, I know enough to know what I don't know, but I know some
I hope.
questions to ask.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, we'll have to get there.
I hope. Well, we can definitely talk about that. I'm more than happy to, but I can give you one thing ahead that someone very smart said to me. I told him something, and he said, if there is ever anybody who believes that a high ping means an advantage, he clearly must be an idiot. You could guess who that was, but I could tell you that his online name starts with the same as the company of the game we're playing. So, you know,
What does that guy know?
yeah, what does he know, right? Not much. No, but yeah. So, but it's really good. So, uh, where were we? Actually, we lost track again, or I lost track.
I
All
think we were
right.
talking about, yeah, speed leveling, falling through the server.
Oh, your favorite skill, and your least favorite skill. So, what's your
Yeah, I
least
think
favorite skill?
uh oh god. I mean, there's so many skills that either have no perceivable effect or their effect is irrelevant to me. Like
I write something down, but
not
I
perceived,
think
but what the hell is it called? A covert movement.
okay,
Every randomly, randomly, I'll get covert movement leveled up. It's like I don't know what I was doing. I don't know how I leveled it up, and I also don't know. Does it make it maybe makes you quieter? I'm not sure.
it does.
Um,
It does, but it's broken. You can level up. You can level it up really quickly if you know how. There's a reason I haven't made a video about that. But a lot of people do know how. And
is it
it's
like a huge benefit?
yes, it it is a
Is it like
very
head
big
silence
benefit.
in Call
Yes,
of Duty?
you are equally silent on all surfaces, right? So if you had zero covert movement and you could hear someone with your swordings just normally walking over glass or grass or whatever, you would just hear that. With max covert movement, the detection radius would go down significantly.
Hmm,
And what is supposed to work against covert movement is perception,
gotcha.
right?
So what, a maxed out person with perception versus a maxed out covert movement is the same as level 1 perception, level 1 probably not that simple.
That's supposed to that's what's supposed to happen, but I'm not sure right now if that's actually what's happening. How I
I
think
can't even I was gonna say I can't even think of you have like metabolism, which was basically irrelevant, completely irrelevant until recently. When stims became a lot more useful
hmm
because of the weight system.
hmm
Then I had to pay a lot more attention to. Uh, I never used stims before, and I only started using them because I usually, if I'm in labs or something, I want to pop something for endurance, pop something for strength, and then just to get out.
hmm
Um, but yeah, I mean, strength, endurance, um, are the only ones that like I even
I would have
the
guessed
fact that I
health.
can't think of any off the top of my
I
head
would have guessed
is
health with
addictive.
you because you need level 10 health, I think, for a task, and that's super duper annoying for a lot of people.
Well, here's the thing. They made that big change for how like health was leveled and stuff. Oh, and you know what? They made it so that you get diminishing returns, right? They did that a day after I got that quest done.
Hang
And
on,
I haven't done the quest since then.
do you mean the diminishing returns as in the exhaustion?
Yeah.
Yes, but they haven't patched the way how health is leveled. So health is
Well,
leveled by leveling endurance, strength, and vitality.
yeah, but if you don't have diminishing returns, before that you could constantly, if I'm walking around with loot, or running around, then my endurance is going up constantly, my strength is going up constantly, so my health is going up constantly. As soon as they changed it, well, now everything levels super
That's
slow.
correct.
But
That's correct. Yes.
that change happened after I finished that quest, so I have never attempted to finish that quest with those changes. I'm sure I'm probably going to be miserable once the wipe comes, and
I think it's still at level 10 if I'm not wrong, it's still at level
it
10.
reduced it to 7.
I mean even 7. For level 7 health you need I can't it's funny because it's not like you would assume that 3 skills feeding into one, right? Leveling one skill would mean 33.333 period 3 is the feed factor from each skill, but it's not. Because you can have you can have max endurance and max strength, and you still are not where you're supposed to be at health. Because vitality plays a huge factor in that as well, which is completely awkward. But yeah, I would have guessed health. But if you have done that task, then it didn't never bother you after they introduced that. Same as it never bothered me when they introduced the exhaustion system, because all my skills were maxed out.
Oh, I've never been remotely close to having maxed out. I usually get max perception and max endurance, and only recently max search, but everything else, like my strength right now on my level 65 character is like level 6.
Which is actually not bad, which means you're probably either A, throwing a lot of grenades, or you're walking a lot of overweight.
More recently, it's been whenever I go into labs and I end up with like 50 grenades, I just grab them and I chuck them just because I'm at this point now. I'm just like, I might as well just level up this meter.
What's your endurance level?
Might be max.
No, they reset it recently. It can't be.
Oh,
I
you're
would
right.
be. I would be
They
devastated if you told me it's maxed out already, because I would instantly say you're power leveling endurance.
I've never attempted to power level or glitch level or exploit anything. And I personally think that there's like a difference
Oh, no,
ethically.
don't. I have a
You don't want
question
to go
just
there?
for that. It's
Okay.
perfect. It's perfect. But yeah. So when you're like at around endurance level 15, because of um the amount of stamina recovery you have, and the amount of stamina you have,
Mhm.
the ways you level strength actually changes a bit. I made a graph for that, but the optimal amount would be 29 grenades. The actual optimal amount is 31, but you would have to drag over 2 grenades to your rig, and it only saves you, if you were to power level that, an hour something time.
And that's if
It's
you're saying if you buy
79
grenades,
hours. Yes, it's
throwing them into the
79
you can
hours.
do only that.
It's 79 hours throwing grenades, 29 or 31, or if you don't have the hideout boost, it's 35. I think I have to look into that. For 79 or 100 and something hours, depending if you have the hideout boost or not. That's how people power level it, and it costs you a shit ton of money. It's the same with hitting, but we'll get to that. It's the same with hitting. It costs you a lot of time to actually do that. I can tell you that for my research videos, because I just mainly do videos about skills. I spend about 500 to 600 hours every wipe, at the beginning of a wipe, just leveling skills, figuring out how to work, what they changed. And I have about 8,000 plus hours on Tarkov, and I would say played hours, like me going out into a raid with friends or streaming it, is probably around 3,000. So I have about 5,000 hours of research in Tarkov, which is completely stupid and a waste of anybody's time. But here we are talking about it.
Yeah.
So that's why I sometimes believe I know some stuff about this game. But
Yeah,
it's
well, you
insane.
don't, according to Reddit.
I don't, according to Reddit.
Anybody who knows anything, as soon as you want to share it, you don't know what you're talking about. But
I stopped reading Reddit because there is people there that really hate me for sitting in the lobby, which I didn't do for over over a year because other people were just doing it. I stopped doing it because I got like people coming in telling me they're going to shoot me when they see me. So I thought, like, yeah, I had one who said he's going to kill my son. He specifically said my son. So I thought,
what
and
the
I went to
fuck?
the police the next day, but what can you do? It's an American IP, could be from anywhere, right?
Oh my god.
And I stopped doing it, and then some lunatic thought it's funny and made ad for Dashing Dot and said,
Oh my god.
yeah, but there was nothing I could do. But that's why I don't go on Reddit, because they hate me so much for just doing that or not doing it, but somebody else. Yeah, I don't read Reddit. Thankfully, I think.
you're better off.
Yes, I know. All right. So looking at the current skill system and knowing they will start changes in 12.7 with the skills, right? Um, what would you like them to change? What is the most urgent thing they need to work on from your perspective? Or do you believe they have to just rework the entire system?
So there's short term and there's long term. Short term, it the way that I see it is it would be really easy to figure out just typical player behavior, what you're going to do in a raid, assuming like if they could figure out what an average raid was,
Hmm.
extrapolate that out to X number of raids, whether it's 1,000, 5,000, 10, I don't know what the numbers are, but just make it so that like in a perfect world, you would get to level 70, the exact moment where tick,
The
all
wipe
of your
happens.
skills would
Oh,
not
yeah. Hmm.
necessarily when the wipe happens, but,
Okay.
like, if I'm halfway to max level, then I would think that my skills would be somewhere around halfway. It's so weird to me how, like, I can be max level character and have the level 2 skill over here and a max level skill over here, um, especially when it's not always clear, like, how to level the things or what you get from leveling them. I mean, I don't know, let me put it more succinctly. In the short term, it should be way more realistic and easier to level everything.
Okay.
Maybe some things need to take a little bit longer. But I think what they should do is they should basically make it so that the effects you get from a lot of the things
Hmm.
are more significant. Um, I would I know some people would disagree, but I would also wanna I've never had a max level character, so I don't know what a lot of the skills are like. I just know that I've never gotten into a fight and said I lost that fight because they had max level strength or whatever. So, to me, it seems like just something that is not like a game changer, but is something that you might have earned and would make your life a little bit easier. Um, but
Yes.
okay, so I think that they should many of the things should be more significant for the benefits they give you. They need to make it so that it doesn't take 1,000 hours of just throwing grenades to level it. So then people won't need to cheese it. They can just play normally. Um,
Would you say it's more like the first 30 levels I see a significant change to my character, right? And then the last 20 levels, the change is not that big. That's for
oh,
people
so
who
like one of these
really
graphs.
want to grind it out, right? And then but the last level, of course, then gives you elite perks, or do you want the elite perks in the middle, and then the rest is just some bonus um, stuff?
I I'd be fine with having like the elite perk be some really amazing thing, but you should get perks along the way. So here's where I feel like uh in the long run, if I was going to design the system from scratch, if
Hmm.
Battlestate came to me and they said do it, I would definitely add more RPG elements around, like, not necessarily a skill tree, but something maybe akin to a skill tree where if I level something up, let me choose between, okay, I can search two things at once, or my search speed can triple, or like be able to choose things
Yeah.
and then unlock them as you go. Maybe there's a huge grab bag of interesting things so that if you played two playthroughs, you might have two different characters that would feel different to you. They should still have the same like health, and they should have the same like
Right.
from a combat perspective. But from a gameplay perspective, maybe someone's slightly faster, maybe someone's, a little bit more robust in terms of adrenaline or something, or how much shell shock they get or, vision loss they get.
How would you get the skill points in the first place to spread throughout the skill tree?
Um, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know what would work for Tarkov. Of course, like the first thing that comes to mind is you have like the Diablo system where it's just when your character levels up, you get a handful of points you can do things with. You could go like the Oblivion route where as you do a thing, it levels that thing up. Um, and then once you level enough things up in different like funnels of the tree, well,
Hmm.
then you can level your character up and then maybe choose some more macro abilities. I mean, and then you have the way the Tarkov works, which is you just level random shit up randomly as you do, well, not randomly, but as you do certain things. Some things that you would normally do, like walk around, some things you wouldn't normally do necessarily, like there's no reason for me to go in and chuck grenades all the time if I just have no need to throw a
It's
grenade,
true.
or
Yeah.
chuck or eat food or chug water in raids if I
Hmm.
didn't have my stomach blacked out and it's just a customs raid. It's not like a super long raid. So there's a lot of things that you're doing it just to do it, not because it provides value. I want you to be able to things should level up as you do them, like recoil control on an AK. That makes sense to me. You're using an AK, you're getting better with that
Yes.
gun.
Hmm.
It makes
Yeah.
sense. Um, Strength, in my opinion, should level up in regards to how much weight you're carrying. If assuming there's not like a weight bench, or whatever in the hideout, but and maybe that could help increase that or pad that. But like endurance should be how long you've sprinted for. Um, because then it makes sense when you're running a lot and you level up endurance. Great. Covert movement. If I'm crouch walking, that should do it. I don't know. Maybe
It
it's when you
does.
have your knife
It
out.
does. It
Okay,
usually does. It's broken at the moment, but it usually that's how you level it up. Yes.
um, so
Yeah. But
it,
one thing, and I always say that because I know I've been told it's all over Reddit. I've not seen it, but since I don't read it, but um, and it's everywhere. People are asking for a pressing bench in a hideout, or for like a bicycle in a hideout. What I don't understand is, as soon as you add something into a hideout, into an environment where I do not have to risk my PMC's life, right? People will start automating things. Like, okay, it's a key
depends on what they
combination that I have to press in order to lift the weight, not a problem. And then I just repeat that until next week when I come back from vacation, and then my character's max strength. Makes no sense to me at all.
It
None.
depends on what they mean. So, like, you go back to the like what Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I think you could like go into the gym and literally like tap a thing to like bench press. That's one way of interpreting it. Um, Another way of interpreting it is a little bit more similar to what we have now, which is you build a thing that you don't actually use your air filtration unit or the ventilation or whatever. Like they're just there to give you like a plus bonus,
Yes.
but you don't actually use them. Maybe some people, I'm sure some people mean that. I'm sure some people mean, let me go in and, just hit the space bar 1,000 times. But what kind of fucking gameplay is that? Unless they want to make it like an idle thing where when you're not raiding, you're slowly growing. Like if you turn the game off and you go to sleep, then your guy is theoretically in the hideout pumping iron. I don't know. I don't know
Hmm.
what people want.
Well, they want the easiest way to do it, or you know, I think it's like you said. You don't notice a difference when it comes to did you lose a fight towards skills, but people will always notice a difference because they will always know if somebody has cheated, or if there was lag, or if their teammate didn't do the right callouts because it was never them. So it's always, oh, he won the fight because he has max strength.
Yeah.
Because he could jump up on Sniper Rock on Shoreline and I can't. Well, but I did prove that you can do it level 0. You can jump up to level 0. So it's also a lot of knowledge that people just don't have that makes
Yeah, like
them
that,
lose
like the little
fights.
boost jump and stuff that I can do it at a level 1 character.
Yeah,
I can sit there and do the bunny hop or whatever, and people,
exactly.
or when I have my, how often I get accused of cheesing my skills and having max level strength, even though my strength was level 5 or something at the time, was because I was on max FOV, not min FOV. So they're just not used to the perceived speed at which I was running,
Uh,
because it just looks like you're moving faster. And that's honestly why I do it, because otherwise
I
I
yes,
feel
yes,
slow and fat.
yes. I run 75 FOV all the time. It's also got something to do with I was I still have to prove that. Well, I did show him. So something interesting about the field of view, and I didn't make a. I did make a video about that. The I don't know if I can say it's my channel. I can say it in the code in Tarkov. The way so you have your spray pattern, yeah, when you full auto a 60 rounder to something, and
Yep.
and the way it's calculated, it's completely dependent on your field of view. So it's not like it's linear to if my field of view decreases or increases, the spray pattern stays the same. What happens is the bigger your field of view, the more condensed your spray pattern is.
So it's a function of like
Yes.
your pixel, like the pixels on screen kind of thing.
Yes, so if you want, for a far distance, if you want your spray pattern, and we're just talking about the spray pattern here, yeah? So that the most bullets get to the most condensed area.
You'd have a max FOV. You'd want
You
larger.
want the largest FOV possible. Yes.
Oh my god, that's so bad.
It's interesting, right?
No, that's bad.
No,
Now,
it is
now
bad
the reason
coding.
why,
It's bad
because
coding.
now the reason why I've had at max FOV was just because it feels slow and fat. But now everybody, if anybody learns that, they'll attribute it to it's just like the ping thing. It's not that I have bad internet or that I'm
I
far from
know.
the
Now,
server.
you're running max FOV because, well, I'm running max FOV because I know that, right?
Mhm.
I admit that. I know it. But I also don't like the small FOV. It looks really weird to me, and it makes me
Yeah.
motion sick sometimes. Um, but nonetheless, it's in the code, which means you have an advantage if you run max field of view.
I'm gonna have to test that out. That's really
Um,
interesting. I got my
I
skills up, by the way. I just was able to switch accounts. So level 65, I have level 15 endurance, level 6 strength.
Yeah, which is really good. Which means you walk a lot probably. You
I mean,
walk you
these days
walk
now,
walk
because I'm
around a lot.
in 2 seconds into a labs raid, I've got 3 raiders worth of loot in my backpack, and I can't run anymore, because I'm just
Well, then running comes
in
yeah.
shape.
Well, no, if you then walk, you can't. You won't get endurance anymore. But yeah, it's interesting. You by the way, you get the best results for leveling endurance is if you would just walk for 5 minutes and 30 seconds each raid and then extract. That's where you get the max points, and then you would just go into the next raid. Um,
Oh my god, my melee is level 1. My mag drills, what would you expect my mag drills to be at level 65?
Probably level 4 or 5.
It's level 6.
Yeah.
I don't reload mags ever.
Yeah, but
Pretty
you
much
do you
never.
check your ammo chamber, yeah, and your and how many bullets that increases your magdal skill
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yep. I just
so
have memory and perception memory, perception, and search are the only things that are elite.
yeah, because you drag loot over to your inventory, obviously, so that increases your perception and your memory and your charisma. So you have that probably on level 27. You can't get it to max skill because it's dependent on intelligence. So that's yeah. You get certain skills naturally because it's a looter shooter to some extent. I'm not saying it's a looter shooter, but you go in, you kill stuff, and eventually get out with some loot,
Mhm.
and that gives you certain skills. That's just how it is. Uh, but yeah, okay, interesting. I'm actually really curious to see how they change skills in 12.7, but I'm also a bit nervous because I think it will have a lot of possibility for certain people to take advantage again, which is annoying because people like me who spend that much time, and then Nikita comes along, I'll just reset skills, and
Yeah.
then you spend time, but then you have to stop because somebody who talks to Nikita told you he's gonna reset everybody who has a very high endurance and strength. Like, oh shit, I have to stop leveling it because I'm doing it legit, but he wants to reset everybody because there are
They
people
should have just
abusing
set
him.
it to an average number. Rather than set everybody to 1, set everybody to 20.
I can tell you this: it's super easy. They have a huge database for skills, and they know every PMC and their skills, right? They also know the fastest period of time possible to max out a skill. I mean, if they don't know, I can tell them.
I mean, it'd be trivial to graph it.
But if
All you need to do is look
yes,
for a big ass spike in their progress. You know,
yes, yes. If somebody is beyond that the possible level, then they must have done something that's against natural laws, right? So yeah, just reset that guy. It's easy. It's really easy. But it's not the focus right now, and I can understand that. I honestly
yeah.
can. They're just resetting it because people are complaining, and people are complaining for various reasons. But okay. Here's one I've been talking to Slushy and Ghost a lot, and I always like to use World of Warcraft as an example to just have in the back of your head. Yeah, you probably know the
Well,
game.
I played. I did make it to level 2 in WoW once.
Okay, that's good. That's good. What is there?
Just to get a
120?
Hearthstone card back I needed like
You
3
know,
years ago.
yeah, there you go. Okay. Using World of Warcraft as an example, where you grind for gear, and grind for secondary skills like cooking, fishing, etc. Um, and you like this one. Do you think that grinding, meaning focusing on them, is wrong, and should people just play the game, and why?
I mean, I think people should play the game how they want to play the game. If they enjoy grinding it and it's a part of the game mechanics, go
Mm-hmm.
for it. If you don't enjoy it, you like me, I don't enjoy grinding it and I just play the game normally. And I think it's like you're not missing out in Tarkov. You're not missing out. I think if you play Skyrim and you don't pay attention to the skills, you're missing out on the game. That's the whole point of the game. It's all built around that. Unfortunately, as much as I would love more in-depth RPG elements in Tarkov, um,
Yeah.
skills are secondary. If you like that and you want to grind it and you want to see the bar go up and that number increase, go for it. By all means, go for it. You shouldn't have to. I think they could improve the design of the game by making it so that the skills were meaningful and that you didn't have to grind them, um, but that you could just be mindful of certain things while you're playing the game normally. And a smart player who was attentive and strategic would, gain more benefits and
Mm-hmm.
level things faster than the average player who, you know, doesn't look up the
But
wiki.
basically what you're saying is, and I think I definitely have the same opinion on that. As long as BSG gives people the opportunity to do something, right? Like if there is something that you can grind out, like if there is somebody who only plays Shoreline and only wants to loot 3 rooms every match and then get out, and it gets stupidly rich by doing that. Yeah, but if you
Let them.
don't want him to do it, then remove the loot from those rooms.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And if you want to be a hatchet runner too, by all means, go for it.
yes, I agree because who am I? That's what I always say. Who am I to tell somebody else who also paid the same price for the game how to play the game? You know, I'm not the mom or dad, and that's it. Yeah, I absolutely agree. But I interesting, because I had some very, very controversial discussions, like where people said, I don't agree. They have to play the game. It's stupid to grind. And I always try to say like, okay, what about World of Warcraft, where I mean, fishing doesn't give you like a super benefit, but it also makes your life easier, and you can do stuff, or with professions or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so
That just seems like philosophically, like who cares? If you're going to spend all your time jumping in a corner, I'm going to spend my time shooting people. You can have max level whatever. I'm still going to kill you because you haven't been practicing your aim and I have been. So I don't care if you're a hatchet runner, as long as it's not some sort of unfair advantage. And the fairness, in my opinion, is determined by the designers of the game. If something's unfair, it's their job to handle it. It's not my job to impose rules on other players.
I wish Nikita would more often to people who are like trying to tell others how to play the game say, just stop crying, it's a Russian game, it's hardcore. I would love if he would do that more often. I love when he does, and but yeah, I don't know. It feels weird to me. But the problem is that the more people cry about it, the more likely it is that software or game developers are starting to listen to those people. And I believe that the majority of people playing a game is always super chill, and there's like this five
They're
to
the
ten
quiet
percent.
majority.
Mm-hmm. They are very very noisy, and they appear to be the majority, but they're really not. They're 5 to 10% of the player base. And
It's there's two very vocal parties. There's streamers on one end. Many of them agree on things, many of them have different opinions. And then there's people on the other end that generally have whatever strong but opposite opinion of the streamers. And then there's 97% of everybody else who's in the middle that's like they're right a little bit, they're right a little bit.
but
Everybody's a little bit of an idiot.
the other two are always proclaiming that they're talking for the 97%. You know, they have the
Oh yeah.
voice of the 97. It's always the same. It's beautiful. Yeah, I just love it. And
I'd
it's
rather be a voice of reason rather than a voice for popularity. That's my opinion. In that, like, I don't feel comfort in being on the side of the majority. That has no value to me. If I'm the only person on planet Earth that believes 2 plus 2 equals 4, I'm fine with that. I don't. I'm still gonna be like, you're wrong. When if 99% of the population says 2 plus 2 equals 5, I'm okay because the truth is independent of, you know,
but
the
we
truth is independent of someone's opinion. But when it comes to things that are subjective, then let's have a discussion and talk about it and go your own way. It's not up to me.
I agree, but I need to add that we both agree that the Earth is flat, right? Okay.
Of
Um,
course.
okay. Oh shit! What?
Yeah,
um,
jokes on you when I'm like, yeah, sure, man. Have you ever seen the doctored NASA photos?
oh my god! You have?
That
I've
rock has
I've
it's a prop. It's got a C on it, man. It's a prop. Don't you know?
I've watched a documentary on it. It's fascinating. It's
Oh, I
it,
love I love I
it's
did my
fascinating.
my honors thesis for my undergraduate degree, which was in economics, and business, was completely unrelated to that. I wrote like a 300-page paper on skepticism, and I talk about alien abductions. I talk about exorcisms. I talk about pseudoscience, medicine. Like, it's literally just 300 pages of all the interesting, crazy shit that people believe, why they believe it, and why it's a problem. Yeah. So I love how poorly evolved our mammalian brains are and how that manifests itself in funny superstitions and
I personally believe that we all cling to a truth that is the most comfortable to us. That gives us the most comfort.
most people do. The vast
Yeah.
majority of people do. I mean, and that's evolution. We've
Yes.
evolved we've evolved to I mean, that's a survival instinct.
Mhm. Well, there's always also those that have their own, I mean, I believe everybody has their own opinion, but they cling to people that have a strong opinion about something because they have some kind of leadership ability or charisma that they feel drawn to.
Tribal.
So they stop having their opinion or voicing their opinion, and going with that. But yeah, I think it's all about comfort. um, but it's good because the next one you tried to explain earlier today, and that's always a very interesting one from your point of view. What's the difference between power leveling, cheesing, and glitch or bug abusing, if there is any? And if there is, can you explain your thoughts around it?
Okay, so cheesing and glitching or exploiting or bug abusing, I put in the same category.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I find a bug in the game and that bug gives me an advantage over somebody, I feel like it's my responsibility to make it known to the developers that the bug exists.
Yes.
And if they So that's my first thing, is that it's not my job to go and benefit from it and tell everybody else to benefit from it. My first job is to make it known to the developers that it's an issue.
I agree.
Now, if you go ahead and you do that for years and years and years and years and they don't fix it, there's some tiny part of me that is sympath I've never done it, but that's sympathetic to the person that's like, I've been talking about this bug for so long that if I'm gonna go and like make it blatant, maybe it'll make a difference. There's some tiny bit of me that can sympathize a little bit with that. I still think it's ethically troublesome.
No,
Um,
I would like to say that I can actually relate to that. So if a person doesn't listen to you, like a game developer doesn't listen to you, it's a bug that is literally destroying my game experience for months and months and months and months and months. And not just mine, I have a bunch of people who say the same. We told you this is the problem. Please fix it. It's important to us. But the case. So what you're going to do is you're going to make it a public problem. And the way doing it is you expose the abuse to the wider public, because what humans naturally do is, oh, I can get an advantage over somebody by doing this. Yeah, count me in. Right?
yeah,
And
so to me, like, unfortunately, that's a double-edged sword. So there's two pieces I want to talk about. One, there's a double-edged sword there. But I'll talk about that after. Two, I want to say that there's an interesting corollary that I think if anybody listening to this might have come into their head. Well, that's the logic that cheaters use. I've been Battle State hasn't been banning the cheaters. I'm surrounded by cheaters. If you can't beat them, join them. And I will say that the distinction there, at least in my head, is that I honestly do believe that Battle State is doing everything that they can, to combat cheaters. It's just harder than anybody fucking thinks.
it
And
is.
even if they insta ban everybody after a couple of raids, the number of people that are there means that there's still going to be cheaters all over the place. And so it's not the same thing. It's not them ignoring it, and it's not them not prioritizing it. It's a different thing. So I just wanted to say that people are going to hear what we're talking about, and they're going to think it's hypocritical. Then how do you have trouble with anybody who cheats just because they're surrounded by cheaters? That's I wanted to get that out of the way. The other thing is that it's a double-edged sword, because I mean this kind of goes back to the erotic thing and all of the different things where people will make a video in an attempt to showcase something, but the problem is that they'll do that a lot. There are folks that have done that, and I literally actually can't even really think about any
It
specific
doesn't matter.
example.
It doesn't matter.
Just
The names don't
philosophically
matter.
speaking, if you found out about a bug and then that day made a video about here's an exploit, you have done nothing but spread the information, and you haven't given the developers a chance to fix it, or really pressured them in any way.
Yeah.
um and at the same time, you might not have a voice if you're not a content creator. It might be harder than you'd think. You might post on Reddit and it doesn't get upvoted. I don't know, but so there's a difference between that and you know again, I can't think of. I can conceive of a time in which I might be okay with somebody doing something like that and having it be ethically acceptable. I can't think of any specific examples, but like, the door glitching or the exploiting for the bugs, like I'm not quite sure that I would have felt good about making a video about any of those things, because I think that the net result would have been more people would do it and it wouldn't have gotten fixed sooner, which is a bad thing for everybody.
But as a
That
content creator, and I always try I try. It's not always possible to see it from all perspectives. So I try to see it from somebody who just plays the game, but I also try to see it from a content creator's perspective. And the reason, the reason to me that I figured would be the only thing that explains it is why I don't go to the developer and say here's a bug. Maybe I do that, but I'll post a video, and the reason is ambition. I want to be the one that posts it so that it gets picked up, and I like let's say my channel has like what 1800 subscribers. I post something that's insane, right? And I don't know if you've seen it. There was a guy on YouTube who posted a video of someone using a cheat, blatantly using a
Vacuuming up
cheat.
all the loot on labs.
No, it was on Interchange, a streamer who was blatantly using a radar. And this guy has like 130 subscribers,
Oh,
but he on this video he has 38,000 views, right? So
was he
I
the
don't.
one that was just telling his friends where people were, and they were like, "Dude, what?"
Yeah, that he told his friends like, "Oh, there's 5 people coming in from the back of Ollie while he was in the front," and I was like, "No, no, I just heard them. What?
Yeah, no, you didn't.
Five?" But it's like I want to put this out there because I know this will get traction, right? Now, he didn't really benefit from that as far as I can see with 130 subscribers versus 38,000 clicks on the video. But that is the only explanation I would have that would drive someone to, instead of, like, let's say doing the right thing, although I don't know if it's doing the right thing.
It's all about the greater good, in my opinion. And the problem is that unfortunately, you can really only guess or hypothesize or hindsight what the greater good was. It's possible that you put out a video and it gets so much traction that they patch it tomorrow. It's possible that you put out a video and they don't patch it and now you've just made the problem 100 times worse. You don't know how it's going to affect
Yes,
things. So
that's true.
and, and that's why I wouldn't want to ever put myself in a position where that would that would be the case. So, which is why all the videos that I've done have been here's a big note to the developers about a thing, but they've been bugs that aren't like FOV and zeroing. Like it's not something that's going to give an advantage. It's something that is either like broken or buggy. But I've thought about doing a whole bunch of things when we were talking about this a little bit before. I had mentioned I talked to that the gentleman Lowe's isn't low. He's the one who posted on Reddit about
Hmm.
the graphics config stuff. So he came to me before he posted on Reddit. He gave me a
Hmm.
whole bunch of information. I could have gone and made a video, and I could have used that to be like, imagine if I put out a video before any of this stuff happened. Go in and change this file using this thing. I'm a software developer, trust me, and you're going to get better frames or you're going to get whatever. I could have done that, and that probably would have gotten hundreds of thousands of views,
Yeah.
but I chose not to because I sent the information to Nikita because I respected him as well. I didn't want to take credit for the work. And at the same time, I wanted Nikita to have some time to do something with it, to tell
Yes.
me either if it was bullshit or not. I could have said, "This is all hearsay, but I'm making it public," but I would be essentially saying, "People go change these files in the Unity config," which is like I don't know enough about Unity and game dev to know if I'm basically effectively telling a bunch of people to mod or cheat in some way to some extent. So I kept my mouth shut. And then a few days later, he posted on Reddit a whole bunch of information. But then the next day, Nikita had a patch out
Hmm.
because it was a combination of the Reddit post, but also the fact that I gave him the information ahead of time, so he had time to run with it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming and have stuff go. And then at no point was my name brought up, and that's perfectly fine because I didn't need the clout for that one thing because the community was better off for it, and I didn't risk anything negative coming from it. You
Would
know,
you,
so
from my point of view, and I'm a small content creator, like numbers wise, um, and I absolutely agree with you, and I think you did the exact perfect right thing. But at the same time, I would understand if somebody who sits there like my viewers, yeah, would use that to make a video. I would understand that person.
yeah,
Just because it's a chance, and how often do you get a chance?
I totally
And I
agree. I
think,
totally agree.
and I think you were in a position where like you're not the smallest streamer anymore, right? You're a big streamer now, so you're a big boy now. It's kind of cool, right? Um,
Yes and no. I mean, so trust me, like getting putting out a video like that, it could equal it literally could equal where I'm at now. uh, thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of subscribers. Like literally. So it could be argued that where I'm at now, I have more of a platform to snowball it even more.
You have
Um,
also more to lose if it goes
yeah,
wrong.
but also then and I nobody can discount that. I have more to gain, more to lose, but also I have more. There's more for the community to lose, right? If I go in and I say modify this game config file, not knowing what I don't know. Imagine if Battle Eye triggers and all of a sudden all these people got banned or something, right? Like I don't know. So to me, it's not worth the potential risk of doing something like that. Now, unfortunately, if a smaller streamer went out and shared that information, I wouldn't I wouldn't be mad at them necessarily for doing it because honestly, I would assume that they probably didn't know the extent of the ignorance and know that there was even a tiny chance. How do I word this? The fact is that there's probably no way that anybody would get banned for cheating. But I know enough to know that I don't know enough to know that it could be a thing. Someone who has
It
no
is.
experience with this stuff might not even think
Yes.
about it. So
Yes.
even if they're right because they're ignorant.
No,
So
but it's actually true. Back in the day when Sabretooth was active instead of BattleEye, yeah, Saber is the house internal anti-cheat tool from BSG, yeah.
it's the first I've
Um,
heard of it. Interesting.
yeah, well, you're welcome.
The more you know.
And back in the day when you were actually there were people modifying game files, yeah, um, for whatever reason, doing it not in a sandbox environment, and they were instantly banned. Because it was a strategy from BSG to say, I don't care if you're that little Tony, 16 years old, who just wants to be better at Escape from Tarkov the ninja, so he cheats. I want the guy that sits there 30 years in his mom's basement who writes the actual code, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, modifying game files can be risky. BattleEye is invasive, so I would be careful if you don't know what you're doing. I not necessarily would want to be the guy that told 10,000 people to modify a certain file and then probably has to find a new name.
But how many people wouldn't even consider just an up and coming streamer? I mean I look at the community and it's not that they're dumb. It's just that it's a perspective that I think someone that might have not expertise, but experience with software or with game development or with networking or with any of these things. Like I think about things like that. Um, I can totally it's totally not unreasonable for a 22-year-old streamer who's smart, who's talented to not realize that
Yes,
they're potentially sharing damaging information. Um, yeah,
but yeah,
so I actually realized this was all spawned off of the original question of the whole exploiting versus.
mhm.
So I
But it's interesting that you see cheesing. That you said cheesing is the same to you as abusing a glitch, or glitching or exploiting a
they're
bug.
synonymous. I don't know if you're defining those things as differently than I do in my head, but I consider glitching, cheesing, and exploiting to be
It's
all
yeah,
the same.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
like falling through the world. Cheesing, glitching, and exploiting, is like that. Or
I agree, but my problem is, and that was always my perception of this kind of wording. While as power leveling is something where I say it's you focusing on a grindable thing
yeah,
in a game or wherever. But my the problem I had, and that's why I like to ask everybody I meet, the horse and the mum, this question, because Pestily once said, and here we are again with from what we had previously, when a big streamer says something, everybody picks it up. He said, I'm gonna cheese my strength, by focusing on it, by doing just that to get it to a certain level.
yeah.
and
Okay, so
and
now I see that how that word can be used slightly differently than I
and
expected.
and,
So
and
I think
that's
there's three categories. I think there is I I could do what I used to do back in Gran Turismo 3. You
mhm.
ever play Gran Turismo 3 on
Mm-mm.
PlayStation?
No, I don't. I
So
never had a PlayStation.
so there were like endurance races that were like 500 lap races. It would literally be like 3 hours of racing.
Mhm.
and I never liked those races because who wants to be on the same? I couldn't fathom it. But there was one racetrack that was just an oval. Um, so one of the things that I would do is, if you won them, you'd won it like a crap ton of money. Like,
Hmm.
and it was just a way to get. And this was not even an online game, single player game. I would take a car and build it up so that it had like a bajillion horsepower, so much that
Right.
it would like glitch out and it would be on like doing a wheelie. It was
Uh-huh.
this ridiculous Suzuki, and I would it would be so much faster than all the other cars that were like Honda Civics. Like, but
Uh-huh.
I could take the controller and put a rubber band on like the accelerator and a rubber band on the joystick, and it would just ride the wall. And I would go to bed. I'd wake up in the morning and I would have won because it would just drive around the perimeter. There's no car damage until, I'd wake up and I have that money. To me, so that is, I guess you could call that cheesing, where you're not cheating, but you're just sort of, oh my god, my phone's ringing. Taking advantage of um, some silliness or whatever in the game that shouldn't really happen.
But was that an online multiplayer game or a single player
No,
game?
no, it was a single player game.
Yeah, there you go. If somebody goes in and cheats himself endless money in a single player game, I couldn't care less. It's his experience.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that's one element to it. So that's but now in Tarkov, the equivalent of that is, let's say, running in circles made you, gain strength. You could set up a macro on your keyboard to hold WD and shift and go to bed overnight. Um, now here's the thing: given that it's an online game, I actually don't think that really changes it too much because I don't know. It's not something that I would do.
is cheesing then the other cheesing you mean then something where you say
It's a
it's
glitch or an
something
exploit.
automated?
No. So the I would say it's something that takes advantage of an unintended feature bug design of the game, whereas cheesing is leaning into full force something that is not unintended. Like the fact that they didn't put a skill cooldown is not a bug, it's just shitty design. It's similar to people who speed run and they'll like glitch through a doorway because it saves them time. Like I don't see that as cheating. Um, but again, this is so
It's
complicated because
phil- it's, it is philosophical, but
there's different there's
my
there's different
point
levels too, though.
my
Um,
point always was from how I understood or how I perceived those words were cheesing is something where you bug abuse or glitch abuse something. I just cheesed my skill to max in an hour. Yeah, like standing in a fire on shoreline, and after 1 or 2 hours, your max stress resistance. That was cheesing to me. Um, actually spending.
that's not a bug or an exploit. That is
It's also
that's
cheesing to
poor
me.
design. That's poor design.
It is.
Falling through the world. See, that's the distinction.
That's
Is
bug
that
abuse. But the problem is the
yeah?
fire doesn't do enough damage, and there's a hole in the map where you can fall through. Where do you draw the line? The problem is, what I wanted to say is, there's another way to gain stress resistance, right? And that is by being hit.
Mhm.
Now, I could go and raid, and by being shot, my stress resistance would go up. I could also have someone hit my leg. While he gets strength, I get stress resistance, and I can just use a grizzly to counter heal the damage taken with ease forever. The problem is, it doesn't take me 2 hours. It takes me 80, 90 hours to get the skill to max. Meaning, um, so where I say that's not cheesing, I actually spent a lot of time and a lot of money because a grizzly doesn't come for free. Um, I spent that on that skill, so I power leveled that. Whereas if I stand in the fire on shoreline to get stress resistance up, that's cheesing, and that's how I always try to differentiate between the two.
So the way that I look at it, to me, it's where something is ethical or unethical is in the intended design of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's something to be said about they put boundaries in a game because they don't want you to go outside the boundaries. But if the fire doesn't do enough damage, to me, that isn't a bug. That is their lapse of judgment. So I actually, it's philosophically different. I could
I,
put all these things in different categories. There are things, first of all, that I would do personally. There are things that I'm okay with other people doing, but I wouldn't do, like going in, throwing grenades for 100 hours. Fine, whatever, do it. I don't care. I consider that boring, and but like it's not unethical.
mhm.
Going and standing in a fire, I don't consider unethical. I consider that short-sighted on the game developer's part. And it's something that, they
It's
should foresee when they design it. If you are looking for a bug or a way around, if like the pistol glitch or whatever, like those, that is unethical. And I am I would be against doing that. And I wouldn't do it myself, even if it gave you the craziest advantage or no advantage or whatever.
And what pistol glitch are we talking about? The one way that you could, where you could
Like
glitch
guns
a
in your
rig into
gamma.
your. Oh, I thought you meant where you could dupe items. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I have no.
Yeah, you don't want to
I am
know.
unaware of any history of any duping of. I don't know. I haven't been, I guess, maybe playing the game long enough to know how anybody did
It was a
anything. But
big thing in 2018.
when you kill somebody, you go to loot their gun and their gun wasn't there.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know,
that was
um,
annoying.
because they could fit it in like their Epsilon, like a shorty M4 or
Hmm.
RSAS or whatever, or pistols. Yeah. So that to me is unethical, and it's you're taking advantage of of that, and the right thing to do is report it, not do it, because the more you do it, then the more it spreads, the more other people will do it, the more that other people will be you and get frustrated and do it, and then you are now a hypocrite if you're upset at anybody doing it. Um, but again, so I haven't ever cheesed, power leveled, or done anything with any of the skills. I don't have any problem with anybody going in. If you want to set up a macro overnight, I don't fucking care. I honestly don't care. That doesn't bother me, because the problem there is it's the game. It's the design of the system. It's almost begging to be um exploited in that
Yes,
way. Um
yes. It sometimes
so
is. Yeah.
that, just like the whole racing, while wall riding, if that was a multiplayer game, that would be the meta. That would be what
Hmm.
everybody would do,
Yeah.
and then they would have to fix it. So at that point, it's on the game developers. If they make it so that it's more enjoyable or more rewarding to play the game in this way, and that happens to be something that we consider cheesing, it's on them to fix it. Um,
But the thing is, there's always here's there's multiple sides complaining about it. There's players that just don't have the time. There's people that can maybe spend an hour or two a night, if at all. Sometimes there's some people that only can spend some hours on the weekend, so they would never be able to compete with somebody who would focus on these skills or yada yada yada. Yeah.
so
So
that's their fault.
they
I have I've got level 3 strength or whatever, and I'm level 65, and I've got more hours than the vast majority of players on Earth in Escape from Tarkov. And nobody has ever died to me and said it had to do with my skills, and nobody has ever said I didn't earn my level 6 strength.
so I definitely have to ask all the streamers I know to tell their viewers that if they ever kill you, they should go into your stream and tell you they killed you because they were level 51 strength. I would be interested.
I would love to see the analysis of 100 fights and show me how your 7% speed increase makes it so that you, or whatever the hell the numbers are, right? Like
25.
even 25.
It's not much.
Um,
I mean, I'm a sad person sometimes. I made researches on how long does it take you to run from point A to point B on different maps with level 0 strength, with level max strength and max endurance, and with endurance levels in between. And the skill itself on max says you are 75%, and now there's like a little bug where it says 77% faster. And then I looked at the times and how fast you actually were. And it was like, that's not 70% faster. That's impossible. And we did the math, and it was like
Was it faster or
25%.
slower? Oh,
It
okay.
was way slower than expected. It's, factory far corner to crossroads corner, so that the truck.
Now, is that naked or is that with, because I'm sure that probably scales the graph.
That's naked, and that's before the weight system.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I would have to redo it all. We've been there,
Yeah, yeah.
but you had 223 seconds from factory far corner to crossroads corner, and with endurance 3 and strength 1, it was 300 seconds. So you
Wait,
were
what was the first number?
223. So you were 73 seconds, or a minute and something faster than the 3-1 level guy. Yeah. But here's a very good one. Level 12 endurance, level 5 strength did need 295 seconds.
So it's 5 seconds difference?
Yeah. So, 4 levels of strength difference, 9 levels of endurance difference, but you get 5 seconds out. And the big one, the big guy whose endurance bar regenerates within 11 seconds, right? To max, so he can fully run again, only needed like 77 seconds
And
more.
I'm
Less.
fine with that. So
So it's
if
not an advantage. It's not like, wow, he's got these insane skills. But the advantage you have is, it gives you a good feeling, I guess. Some people just get a very good feeling about it because they know, if I spawn on tunnel, I can still beat the pistol guy that spawns at Road to Customs. I can
to me,
still
it's just
be
a
in the resort at
convenience
the same
thing.
time.
To me, it's just a convenience thing, right? Like searching a little bit faster, running a little bit like it's not
Yes.
something that I think
No.
is. But so here's the thing. The I don't think that that is actually relevant, maybe to my point, in that even if you were 3 times faster, I don't think that it's not like the ends justify the means. To me, if there's a system in the game that allows you to level X up by doing X thing, if you do that, then I don't
Yeah.
care how you do it. I don't really see a problem with it. And there's a couple things that maybe, because this is hard to talk about, and I don't think about cheating and cheesing and stuff a lot. So ethically, these are interesting conversations, and I'm sure I could be swayed on a lot of things. But let me give you an example. To me, it sounds like, or it feels like, the results and the effect on the game and the community matters. So
Hmm.
if you're
Yeah.
weighing 2 different things, so back in the day when I played did you ever play Diablo?
Yeah.
So I played Diablo 2. I absolutely used map hack in Diablo 2 online, but all I ever did, I didn't do PvP.
I know what you mean.
I
Yeah.
would I would like would rush people and let that, like, help them level, and help new players through, and that, like, I never did PvP. It wasn't I never really played much for loot. It was just like almost like Sherpaing people, and it just so happened that this let me Sherpa them. Um,
I was just standing in the cow level, butchering cows in Diablo 2, to be honest with you.
yeah.
That's all you did in the end game.
Well, no,
But
the end game you could do bail
PvP?
runs. Well, no, I mean, like, I never did PvP. PvP
Oh
was
yeah,
wicked boring. I did
In German you say Baal,
oh,
which
yeah, so
but yeah, yes, and there was
the
a
Chaos
bot.
Sanctuary.
No, there was a bot that was able to. You had to have a mage, I think, and that bot would teleport you to Baal, defeat him, grab the loot that's valuable, get out into the next, do the same. There was some interesting stuff going on in those times.
Yes, so here's the thing, I actually don't, if you, because you could set up, in the online game, you could set up, um, uh, the bot to, like, run overnight and do all that shit, and it would pick up all the loot, and, you could get to wicked high levels, but you could do that in private games, and so I'm just trying to think through. I never had a bot, but what's I guess what's the harm
I
if
think
you're not
there was a trade, like, it was still bannable as far as I know. I think there was a lot of people who got banned for
Yeah, there
using
were.
it.
If you went
Hmm.
right now, there's still bots. When you go and do like Chaos Sanctuary runs, they're run by a bot to make Chaos-1, and it spams a command when you get in there, and it TPs to the thing and opens up a thing. And it's all automated. It's just
Yeah.
one bot and 6 players that are just power leveling, following the bot.
Hmm.
But I mean, again, like to me, it's I don't like fundamentalists anything. I think that not everything in life is black and white, and I think if you wanna be fair, you should take I would like, if you don't just say, "Do you think that all things are bad and all things are good?" Because as soon as you say yes or no, then it's like, "Well, what happens if someone's got a gun to your wife's head and your son wrapped up in chains over the, shark pit? Would you turn on your aimbot?" Yeah, I fucking would, right?
Name of his
So
movie.
oh my god, Taken 4, it's all could be Escape from Tarkov. Player has to anyway. But
I
so
Yeah.
again, like it's nuanced. So
Hmm.
if you're playing an online game and you're cheating, and at no point does that cheat that you're using, even if it's a hack, does it affect another player or the economy of the whole or anything, then I don't really care. Um,
Yeah.
it depends on how you want to define, like it might be unethical, but that I guess maybe in that case then I'd be okay with whatever he's doing. And the unethical, is it unethical to cheat when someone has a gun to your head? I mean, maybe, sure, but it's defensible.
It's cheating in self-defense.
So yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's why I won't ever say 100% never allowed, because there's a difference between a flea market bot and a fence macro, or a macro that you have to auto equip your gear in your inventory. That's cheating in an online game, but it's literally harms nobody, and it's just a convenience. So you have to look at what people are doing and weigh it on a case by case basis. Otherwise you're just going to be a fundamentalist, myopic. I don't know, I'm just trying to say, be
Uh,
reasonable and use your head. uh
yes, I agree. It's just shocking that um, Tarkov has become a game where people sell in-game items for real money, and it's actually worth doing stuff like that. I wouldn't even say like somebody who just makes a script to scan the flea market. Like that's something I'm interested in. Like
Using
I
like
want
OCR.
to just dump it into a spreadsheet and say that's the market price at this point, and then have like a sort of a flea market heat map where you can then predict this item's going to be that valuable at that point in the wipe or something like that. That would be interesting to me.
No, but
I
there's two
wouldn't.
things. There's two ways you could do that, and to me, they're ethically different. You could have something that automated the game pressing buttons and screenshotted and used OCR
Mm.
to populate that info, or you could hijack the API and get it from the API directly. And to me, those are ethically different. One of those I would never do. The other I wouldn't do, but
Because it's way
it's
too
not
much effort.
because, well, no, it's not about effort. There's something to me, and maybe I can't pinpoint why, but to me, one of those seems wrong, and one of those seems clever, technology wise, and interesting. Like so.
But both wouldn't hurt the other players, right? Um, they wouldn't
It
hurt the player base.
it
Whereas
depends.
a
You could
script that
argue,
would buy items from the flea market and then sell them to make me money, to generate me something.
but what are you going to do with the spreadsheet, though?
Do you
You're
want to see
going
my
if
spreadsheets, the information I collect? It would drive you insane. I'm just like,
Yeah, but you that's actionable for you. You're going to do something based on that. So you could argue that it is going to
yeah,
affect
probably.
in some way, even because let's say you find the best deal of all time because you have this spreadsheet, and you know that if I buy this today, I'll be able to sell it high. Then that has a ripple effect in the economy, even if it's
Yes. No,
tiny.
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
But if I'm playing in a game where I'm not competing with anybody else, getting an advantage not over other people, and there's no economy like in Diablo 2, there's no way to buy and sell items unless you're on like a forum or whatever. But it was all sandboxed, you know. It was just to enhance my experience, but it happened to be in an online game, without de-enhancing anybody's experience. If I was going to do PvP, well, now it's a different story. You know, and I would feel ethically wrong about having any sort of, external software. But I can't call me a hypocrite, but I can't say that I felt bad about having the fog of war revealed to me when all I
I
was doing
actually
was
I never had that. I actually got scammed in Diablo 2 where there was this bar in level 2, I think, in chapter 2, where the person could stand behind a bar and then it would tell you, just drop the item so I could see you have it. And then from that point, they would still be able to grab your item. So that happened to me and I was devastated.
damn.
But
And that's the
oh
game
God.
having a shitty trade system and, people being gullible. There's not that
Yes.
unfortunately that's we've all been there. We've all been scammed. You know how many times I've fucking bought an AI2 for, $7,000 instead of 7,000 rubles. Like, to me, I blame the game. So I blame myself for falling for that scammers shitty thing that they did, but nobody broke any rules. It was my short-sightedness made worse by terrible UX and UI design, but that's not an exploit or a glitch or anything. That's just, fuck, I'm an idiot and I fell for it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um,
I actually probably did something too and never noticed. Now that you mention it, yeah, of course there are people doing that in Tarkov. Why not? This, yeah. Oh God.
now if you have 1,000 people watching you, someone's gonna catch it. If you're just
There,
playing,
you're gonna see AI2s for $7K then
I
on
guarantee it's
end.
already a thing. I mean, I absolutely guarantee that if you go into the flea market right now, the first thing I choose is Zarya the stun grenades. If I order it in reverse order, there's a Zarya stun grenade for 111,000 rubles, and someone's selling 245 of them, and he has 97 trader rating.
You can really easily check if that price versus the markup for that you have to pay for the stun grenade would actually be worth doing in order to transfer money from account to account. If you see something like that, the first thing I would do is actually check if the markup is low enough to make it worth for certain people that need to transfer money to other accounts because of dubious things they're doing.
Let me go ahead and how much. So you're talking about how much it would cost
If
based
you
on the
sold one grenade for that money, how much
Yeah,
is the markup?
I just bought one for 8,000 rubles. Let me put it up on the flea market for 111,000 rubles. It's only 10,000.
So now you put it up for 112,000 rubles.
It's only 11,000.
Yeah, but it's 1,000 for 1 ruble, right?
Oh no, sorry. Well, it was 111111111 was the guy's price. I'm sure it wasn't because 1111112 it was probably just an
But yeah,
arbitrary.
so they figured out a price where the markup is low, and they can just
Because
transfer
are there
100K.
thresholds or is it linear?
With the flea market, I don't know, but I think there's a threshold. It depends on the price of the item that you sell to the trader. So the worth of the item. It's really weird.
It's a
If
bad system, is what it is.
it's really bad, and I love the game. I love the game to bits, but if you look at the code, it's spaghetti code at some points. I
Well, that
have
that you can't blame anyone for because every application I've ever worked on in my 10 years, it always ends up with at least some large portion of it as spaghetti. And
okay.
the people that are there now are all ruing at the fact that the last 20 developers all fucked everything up, and now I got to clean it up.
No. So with games, you always have that because the game needs to be optimized, right? You can't have it nice and structured and whatnot. When you start making a game in an engine like Unity, it's never gonna be like that slick code, you know.
It doesn't allow you to architect it intelligently.
It does, but not like that. Game development's always a bit messy in my opinion. But what I mean with spaghetti code is I had a lot of people come to me like, oh, Dashing, did you know that recall control, that metabolism actually affects your recall control? And I was like, no, it doesn't. Yes, it's in the code. Like,
It's probably some constant defined in
it's
one file or
it's
something. There.
not. It's not. That's you're wrong. Like, no, here. And it's like, okay, let me explain something to you. Back in the day, if you didn't play the game, they would roll back your skills. Now, when a Russian thinks about rolling back a skill in English, he says it's recoil. So they were like, oh. So how you name your variables and stuff is a huge portion to me of how you actually make good code and understandable code, right?
Interesting.
And there's a ton of stuff like that.
Yeah,
You just always have to think like, if I was a Russian, all of a sudden it makes sense. It's translation. It's miscommunication. Anyway, so I think we've established that you don't think that people with maxed out skills do not have an advantage over others.
Well, they do. It's just imperceptible, and because it's so small that it's not a problem. If so, in Oblivion, when you could sit and like jump in one area, over and over and over again, and like max level jump, you would be jumping 70 feet into the air. If that was what max level strength was, then I would say it was a problem.
But it's not.
But again, it would be a problem with the game design, and the game designers would need to fix it. I wouldn't say that somebody was like unethical for doing the thing. I would maybe think in some cases they might be a douche for it. In some cases they're probably not. But it's the equivalent of someone who goes to the gym, who just goes to get fit, and then someone who's a bodybuilder. You could say they're just do you just want to spend your whole day lifting weights and eating healthy and blah blah blah, and it's like, if you want to do that, fine, by all means.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's not an unfair advantage. It's
Right.
a fair advantage.
It's actually at the moment it's a little bit unfair because of the weight system, right? Because the elite skill from strength, which was previously rather useless, which does the following: none of your weight counts except what's in your backpack. Means that you, with the current weight system, you can run your fort armor and everything, and 2 guns and a pistol, and it just doesn't count because only the stuff in your backpack counts, which makes this skill at the moment with the weight system the most valuable skill in Tarkov. If you can max that out, that's an elite perk. That's the elite perk strength gives you. Before that,
I was going to say, but the question is that something that we should look at a person who does that? And
I think my Discord just crashed. Yeah, my Discord just crashed. Give me a second here. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So sorry. What I was going to say was, should we look at that person, point at them, and say bad, or to me that's the same as if you have a character in League of Legends or something that's totally unbalanced and OP. Is that person exploiting or unfair or unethical because
they just need to change the character?
Exactly. So skills OP, balance it. Don't. And if someone can get it by not breaking the game in a way that's unintended, then let them do that. And if you have a problem with that, then go to the developers and say, here's why the system is flawed as designed, not bugged, but flawed, and it's unbalanced, which is what I've done with like stuff with economy and stuff with quests.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying that's how powerful a skill at the moment is, right?
Yep.
And your endurance, like you have 500% stamina recovery with elite endurance, and it doesn't even show you an elite perk. That's kind of a hidden elite perk.
It could be more powerful. I'd be fine with it being more powerful. I just don't think that the way it is now, it's you can cheese it and get it, or you can't.
Yes.
Someone like me, honestly, I think that if I wasn't streaming, I would still be playing because I work full time. It's not like I don't have anything going on in my life.
Did you not just say you just play Hearthstone from 9 to 5 every day? I mean, sorry, you work full time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, I can multitask. There's a lot of compilation time and
Software developer. Play this card. Play this card.
all right. So anyway, like someone, I mean, I played as much video games before I started streaming as I did before. So me being a streamer is completely irrelevant. There are plenty of people who are not content creators that are able to play 2, 3, 4, 5
Yes.
hours a day. So
Yeah.
someone like that should be able to achieve the max level thing if it comes down to, if it's not skill based, if it's just time based, then that person should be able to get there in a reasonable amount of time.
Yes.
If you're more casual, then you're more casual. You can't say I can't get to max level in Skyrim in 20 minutes, but that's all I have. You need to change the game for me. No, fuck off. Like that's not how the game works.
I sent you the skill calculator. Yeah. It's that spreadsheet I sent you earlier.
You did. I have not looked
And
at it.
and no, you can open, you cannot. But what it does is it literally tells you how long you need to max out your strength, endurance, and sword rifle by spending so many hours and having so many breaks. Yeah. And I
Gotcha,
asked
okay.
one of my viewers how many hours he is planning to spend on skills when the wipe hits, and he's not a streamer. He said 18.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I'm sleeping 3 hours a night. I don't care. You know, I spend 18 hours a day just leveling my skills. And
Good for them.
here's the beautiful thing. While he does it, he kills his second PC, his second PMC that he brings in by hitting his kneecaps for strength. He gets 1,000 XP, and he makes so and so many raids. It's also calculated, and he gets 1,000 XP times that per hour times 18 a day. So he's level 40, almost when he's max skills. That's
nothing wrong with that. It's fucking boring and I wouldn't want to do it, but there's nothing ethically wrong with it. People who want to min-max and speed run and like be super uber ultimately efficient, as long as they're not breaking the game, I'm fine.
Well, I'm telling you this because I'm also streaming, right? So I have to do the research in the fastest time possible because I have to do it 2 to 3 times with 2 to 3 different accounts. What 99.9% of the people don't know is I have 3 accounts that I have to max out. Like all the skills. Yes, because I need reference accounts. So I have one that I speed level. Then I have my results. Then I have one where I slowly level, and then I have one where I just check if the time and hours that I calculated and the amount of hits or nades or whatever is actually correct, and where I just do what I said in my video or will say in my video. That's why my videos take so long. Yeah. Because I need to do that 3 times. Right? So it's stupid. So I will be someone who puts in 20 hours each day for 2 weeks straight to get it to 51, the main skills and other skills. And I have to somehow figure out how to stream in between that. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people who actually want to do that. But there's also, and that was my intention for this calculator, certain people just want strength on level 2 or 3 for the hideout. And if they would focus on a skill for like an hour a day, how long would they need? You know, that's stuff that might interest them.
And that's stuff that's valuable and is in no way gonna. And that wouldn't even be controversial. If you said it's going to take you this many grenade throws and this many hours of running to get to level 3, whatever, nobody's going to be mad at you. But if you extrapolate that out to max level, someone's going to get mad at you.
There's a lot of people who hate people grinding skills. There's a lot of people who love doing it. I personally just sit in the middle and say, this is how it works. This is how long it takes. You know?
Yeah.
What you do is up to you. I don't care. But
just be careful with that, because you could say, oh, all you need to do to make a wall hack is just do this and this and this. You know, it depends on what you're sharing and how it can be used.
We are diving into this topic too often, but I definitely want to mention that I found someone on GitHub recently who released the code for EFT cheats, and in his introduction he said, well, I wanted to release this here for public knowledge because I was interested in, but don't even bother because 2 weeks before I posted this here, I sent it to BSG. I explained to them exactly how I exploited this to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably fixed. If you use it, you'll probably get banned. And I thought, like, well, on the one hand, if you're
sketchy.
interested in that kind of stuff, right? You need to reach out because you probably want to learn more or you want to discuss it. Like it's yes, it's edgy, but it's the same as somebody who hacks a corporate network for
White hack hackers. I mean, you have to know how those things work if you want to be ethical.
Yes.
Like totally, it's a gray area that's really interesting, and that there are, I'm sure, white hat kinds of behaviors that you could argue are not worth sharing because the greater good would be affected negatively. If here's how you make fucking SARS in a laboratory, right? Like, here's how you make a pipe bomb. Like, you're educating people, sure, but you could argue that,
Yeah,
bad
no,
things can happen.
yeah.
So,
I
but it's case by
personally,
case.
I personally think though that, especially with stuff like that, if someone who wants to make something like that doesn't need some code for some amateur, because they
Yeah.
already know how it works and they already
As
have their
long as you
own.
couldn't just download a thing and run it really easily, if you had to have enough knowledge to, you know, download the repo, run some terminal commands, and if you had enough
What do
knowledge
you need today? Visual Studio? That's free, right? You download that
for what?
for any C code.
Notepad plus
Um,
plus.
of whatever you need. All you need is if at all an editor and a compiler, and you're good to go. I mean, but that's the problem, right? That's not that easy. It sounds easy. I mean, yeah, hello world is easy. You can copy and paste that from the internet, but if you copy and paste the code like that, if you don't understand how it works, you're probably not going to get it to work.
Download Android Studio, create a brand new application, and hit play. See how many fucking errors you get and how long it takes you to get that damn default project to compile, and then you tell me how easy it is. The nightmare.
I've seen your code on stream. I haven't. You probably coded off stream too a lot, but yeah.
I mean, I have a GitHub for my stream, and then my personal GitHub. I actually have quite a bit of open source software with like tens of thousands of stars.
Are you still updating that?
Yeah,
because in the
I would be
store
doxing
I've seen somebody ask if you are still updating that because it didn't have the latest ammo. I don't know.
Yeah, but that is independent. So there's two different things. There's updating the data, and then there's updating the app. The data, if they added new ammo values tomorrow, I wouldn't have to do anything, and it would be in the app.
Okay.
But if they add new items, new item types that are unhandled, then the client wouldn't know about it. It's not 100% dynamic. If tomorrow they added helicopters, well, I don't have a fucking section for helicopters. I'd have to make a new update to the app to add in a section for helicopters. So there are a few things that aren't there, and I'm working on a desktop version that I think might be more sustainable and also usable, because I want to do calculators and stuff. But on a phone, the hardest barrier is like, you want to do a time to kill calculator between all these different things, but you have 30 square pixels to put all these buttons and a keyboard and stuff on. So I'm hesitating to add on more. I might just, and I want to learn some desktop stuff, so I might just make a cross-platform desktop app that.
Interesting. I've sent you that. If you ever want to incorporate skills, I can send you all the data. Cool. Because I thought, I always wanted to make a calculator, and it's like, it's Excel, right? I mean, it's open source. Everybody can get whatever they want, but I think in an app it would be kind of,
for sure,
it look better and be more intuitive. Here's a fun one that I got from somebody else. Should scavs have more randomized skills rather than you being able to level them? And did you even know that you can level them?
Yes, but I play scavs so little that the fact that the skills on my PMC are irrelevant, the skills on my scav are even less relevant.
Do you know that somebody once leveled maxed out skills on a scav? They maxed out strength, endurance, stress
I don't even have
resistance.
time for that. Like right now, I'm sure it's probably back in the day. Because now it's like I load into a raid as a scav and there's 7 minutes left or something, and it's like, well, I guess
Yeah, yeah. Now I think it's a bit harder, but back then you would start almost at the beginning of a raid, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I only need scavs when I'm like usually within the first couple weeks if I'm really low on gear. Otherwise, I just find it boring.
It's funny because I'm never low on gear, and it's every wipe feels the same. There is a certain set of streamers that come to me and ask me for money, and
Really?
I'm not saying that one of them is Ghost Freak. Yes, I gave him 2 wipes in a
Always
row. I
got
had to give him
he's
money
always
because
got
he was
he's
broke.
always got tons of money.
Yeah, I just farm. That's
Everybody always looks at me and says, "Where'd all your money go?" When I have like 3 million in cash and like cases all over the place. But it's like 3 million in cash I can lose in 40 minutes, and I can also quadruple in 40 minutes. It just depends on, you know,
right. Yeah,
depends on the roll of the dice. I don't farm. I go for PvP. I loot anything on the way in between the fights and the exfil.
right. I was running my PC on a 1050 before, right?
Mhm.
Because my 1070 broke, and I couldn't afford a new one. So I was participating in this hardcore tournament, and I was everybody always asked me how do you make 30 million in the first 2 days of a wipe? It's impossible. It's like, I'll show you. But this hardcore tournament also had like you got points for your survival rate, so I couldn't just die. So I was showing them like the first 10 hours, and you had 120 hours max time.
Mhm.
In the first 10 hours, loot keys on shoreline. Then start using those keys. Then do this. Slowly start doing tasks very carefully. Sneak through, be a rat. If you have to engage, then if a PvP fight is forced upon you, there's nothing you can do. But you can outsmart people. And in the end, after 120 hours, I had 75 million stash value. I had over 20 million in cash. I had level 41, 72% survival rate, blah, blah, blah. And it's super easy if you know how it works. And every streamer or every person has their own way to make money. But I'm always fascinated, like Ghost Freak, who sits at the end of a wipe, sits on 200 and something million by just killing stuff, right? He doesn't farm either. He just kills stuff and sells it. Um, at the beginning of a wipe, he's a poor little fella who has to ask for money for a loan.
I mean,
It's beautiful.
I started my standard account yesterday and played for a couple hours, and I like burned through everything. The only thing that I have is I managed to like get a crazy jump out of a window 180 kill on Shoreline Resort on a dude
Oh, nice.
who had like uh SVD
Mm-hmm.
and an MP7. So I'm level like 2 with level 6 armor, a helmet, 2 guns, optics, lasers,
Nice.
ammo that I can't buy, and it's like, well, oh no, and my first scav had a factory key in his pocket. So I'm like, great, this is my like beginner walkthrough. First start with a scav. Oh, I have a labs key card and a factory key. Oh shit.
But I
Uh
saw you sell the pistols, and I think you didn't see that. I wrote you in chat like, keep the pistols and always have one with you because you get a speed boost for running with a pistol. They re-added that.
nah, I don't. That's the thing that I just don't care about. I'd much rather get them out of there and not have them in taking up space in my inventory because I don't want to shoot them. I don't want to have to pull out a pistol, and I'd rather run slightly slower and not have to fucking worry about it.
So yeah, it's different approaches to the game,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I always try to maximize what I do.
It
There's
depends on what you
some
maximize though, because if you're running with your pistol and I'm running with my SKS and we cross paths, who's maximized in terms of killing
in
potential?
in readiness, in fight readiness, probably
Yeah.
you are, but at the same time,
The spawn is random and it's far more relevant to how fast you get somewhere. You can have maxed out skills, but if you spawn at the water and I spawn behind the resort, I'm gonna get there before you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's no doubt, and that's why I would never
Yeah.
start going to resort, right? Um, all jokes aside, when's the wipe?
I can't even say that I don't know, honestly, without it just being a meme because everybody assumes that I know. Uh, I just don't know. And honestly, like
So,
I I assume it's longer than everybody says. People have been saying 2 to 3 weeks from now. I'm gonna say 6, but
mm,
I'm hoping and praying.
well, I think it's a myth because I know that Ghost Freak occasionally talks to Nikita. I know that you do. I know that Pestily does, and I know that Slush Puppy does, and I know Anton does, and other content creators. And I know that there's a Discord where you guys sit in, where there's members and staff of BSG sits in too. It's
I'm not in anything like that.
that's not. Well, maybe you're not in, but there is one. So that's not a secret. But I do, and I believe sometimes they do tell bigger streamers information that isn't publicly known yet.
Mhm.
But in terms of a wipe date, I honestly think BSG doesn't really know themselves.
Well,
But
see, I
it's
mean, that's just the thing. Like, even if Nikita were to tell me, even if I were to ask, which I don't, and even if he were to tell me, which he doesn't, um, he would say, if I went to Nikita and I was like, "Hey, I got a family thing in a couple weeks and it's really blah 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 serious, and I'm gonna do a charity thing," he would probably be like, we're planning on end of the month, so 2 to 3 weeks or whatever. So there's no point in even asking any streamers because even if a streamer heard it straight from BSG's mouth, the way that software development works is that it ain't gonna come when you think it is.
I
That's why
know.
Nikita says soon all the time. It's not I know it's a meme, but it's the only honest answer that any software manager can give to a product manager or to customers. It's soon.
Yes and no. Um, the yes and no. So I come from a different perspective as a project manager, right? If my customer, when I have a software development project, like for piece of infrastructure, like let's say a data lake where we implement a search engine, yeah,
Mhm.
in Hadoop. I don't know where you come from. That,
I'm familiar enough with all of the things that you're
yeah.
talking
So,
about that I'm following.
if a customer asks me like, "Hey, when are you guys done? Soon?" He's going to turn around and slap me in the face. And
Yeah,
then he's gonna ask me again, when are you done? Like,
because
oh,
they're a customer.
let me look into the project plan because I've written it down in my work breakdown structure. Apparently, we are not on track. We are delayed by 2 weeks. It's going to take us this and that long. But here are the following 5 risks that can occur. Right?
Yeah, but do you
And
want Nikita
that's
to
how you
say that
do.
on a podcast on Twitch? No.
If he does it with that voice, I'd be amazed. But
And that's the problem is that in order like only someone who works in in this sort of realm when it comes to project management, even if it's not software project, if it's charity project management or whatever, they would understand how this is what we have to burn down. There are some unforeseen,
risks.
issues. There's some unknown unknowns. Who knows? Google might get DDoSed and AWS might go down, and there might be some COVID-19 global epidemic.
Exactly.
So our best guess is given our current burn down rate and the amount of work we have, it's going to be X. But if two of your engineers come down with the flu and then somebody leaves because their wife gets pregnant or
Yeah,
or
yeah. Then you
whatever,
update the chart.
well,
So,
that's a
what I
week
think
is difference.
I know, but what I think PSG is missing is, Star Citizen.
I know. Yes, yes.
Um, so the game, if you like it or not, if you plan on playing it or not, they have a timeline,
A roadmap.
a roadmap where they say, version so and so is gonna have this and that feature, and it's gonna be out at that day. Um, and then the next, and then sometimes they just say, I can't deliver all 5 little packages in that version. I had to take one out because it would have taken too long. I'd rather deliver on time. Or they say, these 5 are so essential to the package that I need to have them ready. So it's gonna be delayed by a week, which means the entire timeline gets delayed. Or I can
So
but I can visualize something, and that
yeah,
I know there will still be people out there that say like, oh, but you said it's on the 20th of May. It was right there. I've seen it. I made a screenshot. I'm gonna post it on Reddit, Nikita.
yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah.
fucking I know. But
How many devs do they have on Star Citizen? And I'm just curious.
I don't know. I don't know.
Are they big, small? I literally don't know if they have 20 devs or
So what they did
2,000.
is I think that it's all through crowdfunding, if I'm not mistaken, and
Is
they
it like an
raised
indie
like
game
800
or
million.
Christ? Okay.
Yeah, they have big goals.
So
Like,
they've got resources.
oh yeah. I think
Okay,
they
so
opened
that's
several
the
studios
thing.
to do a follow the sun approach.
The larger you get, because I've worked where I've been the only developer at a company, and I've worked at a company that was full of hundreds of software, mechanical, hardware, industrial engineers.
Yeah,
The larger the projects get, one, they get more complicated. So a lot of the unknown unknowns get a little bit bigger, but at the same time, you also get more structured, and you're able to have different teams that know their general velocities. And if you have a team of 30, you can say it like flattens out the curve, right? If you have one developer and you get sick, you've lost 100% of your,
yeah.
so that's the thing, is that because BSG, so there's two things, because BSG is small with limited resources, and because I bet you they have a much less defined and planned out and structured roadmap themselves compared to something like Star Citizen. They probably have everything that they have planned, whereas Tarkov is like, Nikita can go on a podcast and talk to somebody, would get one idea, and that can change the course of the development for the next month. And that's cool, but at the same time, there's no roadmap because they don't fucking know
But
either.
it doesn't give the developers any security. I think what they're missing, what they're lacking is proper communication towards the audience, the player base, whatever you want to call it, on the first hand, and secondly, an internal organization where they actually get a grip, and where somebody says, well, Nikita, it's a nice idea. Here's the plan. I'll put it into the pipeline. We'll look at it. We'll estimate it, and then I'll tell you when it's going to be ready. And I know you
Second
love your
part,
podcast, but it's not going to work that way anymore because
yeah.
we're
See, the thing is that
professionals.
the second part I agree with. The first part I wholeheartedly disagree with. I think that they communicate everything that they know. The problem is that that's everything they know.
And but
Nikita is super transparent, and I love it. But what it does is it shines a light on the fact that I think they're just kind of figuring shit out as they go, which I won't fault them for. Because if I was going to make a game today, I would be less competent than Battlestate Games. I'm fucking sure, and then there'd be a lot that I would have to learn
when
along the way.
you listen to the podcast, and Nikita says, we just wanted to make a game. We didn't think about people actually hacking and cheating. There was no thought. We just wanted to make a game. How? No friggin' way, dude. That's no way you did ever approach this. Because they made a game before, right? Where they had exploiters and stuff.
I don't know. I can't speak to that.
I know that.
I can put myself in the shoes of. I know that if I were to start an indie game dev company now, I would make tons of mistakes that me
Everybody
5
would.
years from now I would roll my eyes at and think like, wow, how incompetent could I be? And I'd end up with spaghetti code, and I would be so sick of it, and I'd want to throw it away and start off with Escape from Veritas 2 and just get rid of the first one, because then you could
Absolutely.
build, you could be like Valorant, where, or at least the mindset of, let's start with netcode and anti-cheat, whether it's good or not. At least having the mindset of, let's build the infrastructure from the ground up as a first class citizen in the ecosystem, not let's bolt it on after the fact.
Absolutely, no doubt, and we all would make mistakes. But what I'm saying is, if they went out with some more confidence by saying, yes, we are happy to share 95% of the information we have, it doesn't concern you if my wife gets pregnant, so I have to take a few days off to actually conceive the baby or whatever. That doesn't concern you, but here's what concerns you. This is planned for the future. This is what we are wrapping up right now. This is planned. It doesn't mean that it makes it into the final patch, and this is our timeline for the final patch, and this is our timeline for the next patch. That's all you need to know for now, and we will update you if there is something that concerns that.
Now that would be possible if I'm assuming, so you said you're project manager. I've worked at companies where there were two kinds of Jiras. One Jira had a backlog with 8 billion things in it and their current sprint. And then there was another company where you have a backlog of a billion things in it and a current sprint, but then either some other software or maybe it's Jira where you have epics and you have going out 2 or 3 or 4 years, especially when I was at a robotics company, the hardware side of things, because things take so much longer in hardware than software, they had to plan years and years and years out because the release cycle was 2 years. Whereas for us, it's 2 weeks. We're pushing out shit all the time. And if you're on like the cloud team, it's every 2 days there's a deployment. In the mobile app space, it's going to be a couple of weeks or a month, at
But
most.
BSG is not doing it agile as per se. I doubt they do.
I don't know, but I have a feeling that it's probably along the lines of Nikita has a notebook with 8 billion ideas. None of them are fleshed out or planned really to any extent. He just knows that this thing is going to be done at some point. So he can't give you a roadmap because he doesn't have it. I think they really are.
I know. They need someone to actually paint that.
Which is why number 2 is true, but number 1 is he's telling us everything he knows.
No, but that's why number 1.
Open.
Why I say number 1 is he needs someone to actually start communicating that a bit more organized to also relieve him. Yeah, he needs someone internally to do that.
I thought you meant he needs to tell us what their long-term plans are.
No. He needs someone to actually structure it internally and then communicate it to us.
Project manager, and they need a true game designer.
Yeah,
because I think Nikita is probably a fantastic. He has one of those roles where he's like engineering, vision.
I think Nikita's a Care Bear. To me, he looks like a big giant Care Bear who's just making sure that everybody's happy and
he's there for vision, for smiles, for laughs, and for hugs. And I'm sure he's probably I don't know. I'm
sure he can get very
he's probably
unpleasant to be with when he's not happy.
But I've worked for 85-pound like Belarusian women who are, they're not as imposing as as he is, but still aren't pleasant to be around. Because they fucking know what they're talking about and they'll lay the hammer down. But I don't know, like I think they're missing some key roles that would help the process.
Yes.
That's not to say, and I don't want it to be interpreted as like all the devs in Nikita are completely incompetent and they can't do anything. It's just there's so much going on that Nikita's probably overwhelmed, and it's probably really hard to hand over the reins to somebody on something like that.
It's not like that. It's not handing over the reins, and it's not about who's in command, who's in charge. It's about structuring it.
It's easy to say that as the PM, but if it was your baby, then you would whether it was reasonable or not.
I tell you what. I'm currently I'm free, Nikita. You can hire me for free. I'll come by. I'll do it. Otherwise, I'll just work on skills for hours on end, which is boring.
If you need a game designer, I've watched a couple YouTube videos, and somehow I feel
like... Oh, wow. I actually bring 20 years of experience. That's kind of... Hire him, too. It's going to be great. We're going to make Tarkov great again.
We need to get the MT at Mitka hats.
What's your streamer item?
I can't tell you.
Oh, God damn it.
I did ask him literally yesterday, if he could give me any details, and he sent me a picture.
When do you reveal it?
I think it's 12/7. I'm not gonna reveal it
Oh,
early.
you're not allowed to reveal it earlier than
I'm
then.
sure I could do whatever the fuck I wanna do, but he didn't tell me to, and I feel honored enough to have one that I'm
Do you
not
like
gonna
it?
be the guy. Yeah.
Okay, good. Is it a clothing item or is it something else?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay, wow. That's great. All right, is
You're
there
the first person
anything?
I've told actually about that. I haven't told anybody. Nobody knows.
Hold on, I'll write a script, make a video, and post it on Reddit. No, that's
You
great.
can. I'll
I'm
just
really
deny
happy.
this happened, and I won't sign a waiver, and then if you publish this, my lawyer will be contacting you. I'll
I'm
DMCA you.
honestly, I'm poor as fuck. I don't care. Um, all right, is there anything else you would like to add that we have discussed so much, and I really we have to discuss some more around the cheating thing. I definitely want to dive into that. I want to dive into ping. I just
Yeah.
call it ping topic because it's not, but I just want to call it that because
We
it's
could say
fun.
net code, even though it's a meaningless term.
No, that's bullshit. Yeah. Um, and
Uh,
and the other one that yeah, you had a podcast. You said right?
yeah, it's called the Pogcast,
The
as in like pog.
Pogcast.
Yeah,
Nice. I
yeah.
think
So
you're
me and Jesse Kazan.
Jessica Sam. Jessica Sam. I don't know Jessica Sam.
He's a very talented, very smart, very handsome, up and coming Tarkov content creator.
Oh, nice.
He's a good guy.
Right. Let's. I'll check him out. Um. Yeah. Is there anything else that you think we should
I mean,
discuss right now? I mean, we've been talking for 3 hours.
yeah, no, I could. I mean, obviously, both of us could go on forever and ever and ever, and I'd love to pick your brain, but we'll have to save it for another time for sure.
All right, then. Thank you very much for being here. It was absolutely fantastic that you made that possible. And yeah, there's
Thank you.
one more name I can tick off the list before I can retire, which is next year, by the way.